Hi everyone, I'm Kat and my climate action project is called the Circular Campus. As a recap from last November, the Circular Campus embodies the ideas of a circular economy where we seek to eliminate waste and continually use the school's resources. And I started out by emphasizing this mainly within the cafeteria, where we would compost the food scraps from there in a compost tumbler to divert food waste from landfills. And then we would use this compost to nourish the topsoil in our native pollinator garden that is currently under construction. And finally, this compost-rich soil would provide a nice growing space for the important population of pollinators at my school. And to illustrate this journey as well as possible, for starters, I definitely had a lot of Zoom meetings during the first 2 months. I met with my school's food service supervisor, Judy, the Carlmont principal, and mentors fairly often to see what could be accomplished and what parts of my plan had to change. And if anyone remembers, I originally wanted to partner with the Conscious Kitchen to integrate flossing meals at my school. Unfortunately, this path is not feasible at the moment. So instead, I created our own smaller version of the Conscious Kitchen, which I've called the Conscious Cafeteria. And so far, we've put together a recipe book, which includes 10 diverse low carbon recipes for the menu. And we've taken inspiration from the various food programs and organizations listed here. And I have 2 examples of the recipes on the right. We've also been in contact with the district chef to organize a taste test process with students next school year with the recipes in our book. So we're very excited about that. And this program also includes the compost element of the circular campus with all the food scraps and compost tumbler, which will be used for the garden soil. And we're definitely hoping to expand this program in the future by adding more sustainability guidelines within the meals because there's so much more we can do in the realm of the cafeteria. But I know this will serve as a strong foundation for more future changes. So besides the cafeteria sustainability, I'd say the highlight of this project is definitely our native pollinator garden. It's still a work in progress, but my team has partnered with my school's ASB, the Carlmont PTSA, the San Mateo County Office of Sustainability to build a community garden at our school that would be wheelchair accessible, feature California native pollinators, and have a lot of benches to allow students to relax and connect with nature. And most of this is going to be funded by the Carlmont PTSA, while the Office of Sustainability will be providing brochures and posters about compost awareness that we plan to put around the garden to emphasize our compost practices. And on the right, I created a 3D model of what we intend for the garden space to look like. And there's also going to be a mural on all 3 walls that commemorates the class of 2020. And in addition to the native pollinator garden, we're also working on building a hydroponics herb garden in our school's greenhouse. My team applied for a grant and we received a maximum budget of $5,000 from the San Mateo County Office of Sustainability's Community Garden Partnership Program to purchase all of our materials, some of which will also be used for the native pollinator garden. And in this new greenhouse, my goal is to create a fun experience for students to learn the crack key method of hydroponics to grow various herbs and harvest them for the school cafeteria. And we'll also be promoting the ideas of hydroponics to students around school with posters that explain the environmental benefits of this form of gardening. And this has been a long journey that would not have been possible without my research team. They researched compost tumbler models, California native pollinators, native plant diseases and pests, hydroponics, low carbon recipes, and even helped with writing the grant application. And they also created presentations and infographics to display all of this research in an effective way, like this poster on the bottom right. And so to put everything we did online into action, I created a cohort made up of about 12 Green Team members, and we've been meeting at school twice a week since February 8th to compost food scraps, grow native plants in our existing garden, and plan for building the native pollinator garden and hydroponic system. So our existing garden consists of 4 garden beds, and before we were allowed to meet up on campus, I had students pick up a packet of California native pollinator mixed seeds in peat pots from my house to grow plant transplants for the garden. And the plants have actually been growing very nicely over the past 3 months, and you can see a progress picture on the right. And this is where we're building the native pollinator garden. And to prepare the space, we spent a couple of weeks digging out all the weeds. So here's just the before, during, and after of that process. And now I just wanted to go back to the beginning and take a moment to remind all of you how these project elements connect. So the first part comes from cafeteria food scraps and other compost from local food stores, as well as our hydroponics herb garden. So from our compost and hydroponic system, we increase compost awareness, improve soil health, and participate in sustainable gardening practices on campus. And as a result, we create a native pollinator garden, which preserves biodiversity and serves as a space that builds community among students. And this cycle will repeat for future generations at school by underclassmen who will pass on their research, garden, or compost roles to another underclassman to continue on the project. And I wanted to end this with a few things I took away from this project. So first was leadership. I went into this being scared of asking people to do things for me, and I found myself feeling overwhelmed until I finally set up a meeting with all my team members and assigned something to every single person. And after that meeting, I just felt really relieved and realized that there's nothing to be afraid of. And this brings me into keeping an open mind. So with all the bumps in the road with COVID restrictions, I gradually developed a more flexible mindset towards all the uncertainty. And finally, being proud and patient was a big one. I was feeling rushed and a bit disappointed that I wouldn't have the physical gardens to show for today's presentation. But I had to remember that these kinds of things take time, and uh, everything I've done so far, like with getting the garden grant, the garden design, all of the supplies, that's already a lot. And I've built a strong foundation to uh, create the circular campus for next year. And this project is not done yet, so if you could follow us on Carlmont Green Team, that'd be awesome. And I'm probably out of time now, so thank you so much to PGC and Turning Green for this great opportunity.